Hey guys, how are we doing? In this podcast episode, I actually get to interview an up-and-coming NFT artist. He goes by the Twitter handle of @crypto_bushy. All his information will be in the comments below. In this episode, we do a deep dive into NFTs. I have a chat with him about his life, what he likes about NFTs, what he's doing now, and we also dive into the world of DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations. This really blew my mind, this interview. I didn't realize how far crypto was ahead of me, and it always humbles you when you realize that you are just a small fish, especially when you spend all your time in an area like this. So I hope you guys enjoy this. I know that it will bring you a lot of value. Go and follow him on Twitter. He's an amazing guy and his art is amazing. He's releasing a new collection soon. But anyway, without further ado, let me get you right into the video. I hope you enjoy, guys. Let me know in the comments what you think, and I will see you on the next one. Peace. So, hello, Crypto Bushy, and this is Crypto Insight UK's podcast channel. Today, I'm interviewing Crypto Bushy, who is if I'm saying that right, I don't even know if I am, but I'll let you introduce yourself in 1 second. You're an up-and-coming NFT artist. I don't know if that's how you describe yourself, but I've seen some of your artwork on Twitter, and I stopped into one of the Twitter spaces where I heard you and a collection of people talking about NFTs. And NFTs are something that have caught my interest recently, and I just wanted to learn a bit more about it, and I messaged you and you were very, very kind and said that you'd jump onto my podcast and speak to me about it. So without further ado, I'd let you introduce yourself. If you want to give me a little bit of a background about yourself, where you're from, what you do, those sorts of things would be great.
Yo, yes, thank you for that. Yeah, everybody gets the name kind of mixed up, but yeah, Crypto Bushy, whatever you want to say. I've been in the NFT space now for I want to say 6 months ish, which isn't that long in the grand scheme of things, but in crypto Twitter space, it's a pretty long time. I work with a DAO called Bankless DAO, and I help them do their NFT sales. I also make my own art and sell my own NFTs. And I'm really just interested in everything NFTs. So I'm not just making art. I like to help other artists sell theirs. I'm interested in kind of just where the technology is going to go in the future. So I'm kind of just here for the ride, and it's already been kind of crazy. So it's just an exciting time. It really is.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So just while we were on this topic, and then before we get into you a little bit, so what is a DAO? Could you explain that to my audience, please?
Yeah, so a DAO is basically just another name for a business. I mean, it's literally as simple as that. It's technically the definition of a DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization, but a lot of people that are in DAOs, like myself, have recognized that it's really not autonomous, and some DAOs aren't really decentralized. So we've started to change the definition a little bit, and a lot of these DAOs are starting kind of to call themselves DOs or digital organizations.
Sure.
But really, long story short, they're just online businesses. It's as simple as that. I mean, we have treasuries with a lot of money. We've got a bunch of people that work all around the world, remote. We don't have any office. The office is literally like Discord, Twitter, places like that.
Sure.
And we all just work towards kind of whatever the end goal is. I mean, DAOs have different missions, and so each one kind of has something different that they're going after. But a lot of them are for profit, and a lot of them make a lot of money. So it's very interesting.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think that might be the way the business goes in general. Is starting to move into that sort of space anyway, isn't it? With people working from home more, not necessarily decentralized, but it is starting to take a step towards that, like the legacy businesses, like legacy banks and stuff, like people, not just banks, but all businesses starting to work from home a bit more anyway. So in terms of what you personally do, I had a little look at Bankless. Would you want to just quickly explain to my audience what that is?
Yeah, so basically, I was kind of just in the right place at the right time, to be honest. I listened to a lot of Bankless podcasts, and David Hoffman, one of the main hosts on that show, he was talking about DAOs in one episode, and he was saying something like, "Oh, DAOs have money and they need workers. They need people like you to work for them, and you can go and work for a DAO. You don't have to work for your typical 9 to 5 anymore." And this was kind of in the height of COVID, and so yeah, I kind of shook my head a little bit, and I was like, "Yeah, that's great in theory. I would love to do that, but yeah, right." But then the Bankless DAO was then founded like pretty soon after that. And since I was a premium subscriber, I was part of the initial airdrop. And so I kind of got thrust in with the rest of the people right in the beginning there. And I had a couple art pieces that were like already made that were kind of inspired by their whole message of like being bankless. And so I shared those in the group, and then it was just a catalyst from there. Like they basically just tagged me as like, oh, you're the artist of the DAO now. And um, that's pretty much where it went. So now what I'm doing is I make art pieces for the DAO and just for different things that we need art for, and like really memes and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But then also I'm also working on the NFT sales side. So we, as a DAO, we sell NFTs from other artists, and we help promote other artists. And we're for profit on that. We've actually done really well. We've helped really get some artists a lot of sales, and it's helped us in the same time. So that's what I'm doing over there.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I've seen some of your work, and it's amazing. I'm going to put some of your links, obviously, in the description of my videos. But let's get into a little bit about NFTs off the back of that then. So, actually, before we go into that, so where are you from? Like, how old are you? Would you mind doing a little bit of a profile if you want to? If you're not comfortable with that, that's fine too.
Yeah, so I'm in Florida. I mean my account is, I'm pseudo anonymous, which is the great thing about crypto Twitter nowadays,
Hmm.
and really where I think the world is going. Like you don't have to be you don't have to like identify as your real name online, which is great. And I that's what I love about working for DAOs is like they don't care like what your name is. They don't ask you to sign a bunch of like tax documents and stuff like that and dox yourself. It's basically like, everybody in the DAO knows me as Crypto Bushi, and so nobody really knows anything about me. They don't know anything about my personal life, which is wonderful because then I can just be myself, and same with other people. Like it's great to just get to know their online persona, which you as an ex professional gamer, I'm sure you that's normal, right? Because I used to play a lot of games as a kid too, and like you get to know people for their gamer tag, right? Like you don't
Yeah,
really like know them,
yeah,
right? Even if you know their real name, sometimes you still call them by their gamer tag just because it's such a natural thing.
yeah. That's it.
Um, and that's the same thing that's happening now with these DAOs. But I'm 29 years old and I live in Florida, and
Cool.
that's about all that anybody knows about me.
Yeah, that's cool. That's awesome. Nice to meet. I'm 28, so we're about a similar age. That's pretty cool. So what is an NFT? Can you break that down for me quite simply?
Yeah, so it's definitely a loaded question because there can be a lot of things, but I would say honestly the simplest way to look at it is an NFT is just a ownership certificate. It's literally it just says, hey, you own this piece of whatever it is,
Hmm.
this asset. And a lot of people right now are looking at NFTs, and they think that they're just art.
Hmm.
And right now they really just are just art. But basically think of it as a way for you to track ownership of assets. That's
Sure.
really the better way to look at it. So art is an asset. Real estate is an asset. There's lots of physical things in this world that are assets
Hmm.
that NFTs will be used for in the future. And so really, it's just a proof of ownership of something is the best way that I would say that I would look at it. So right now we're looking at art, and so basically when you go on OpenSea and you go buy a Bored Ape for 100 grand, that NFT just basically shows that you own that particular Bored Ape.
Sure.
That's as simple as that. But in the future, it'll probably be like your deed of your house will be recorded as an NFT,
Hmm.
and that'll prove that you own your house, and other stuff like your health records. Like you'll own your health records and your identity and stuff like that. So it's going to go much further than just the art. The art is just kind of the entree into it.
Yeah, cool. And I kind of have some like where I want this to go like a little bit further later on because I kind of have some ideas about what I wanted to like bounce off you. I thought it'd be quite cool for our audience if I could bounce some of my like business ideas to do with NFTs and you just tell me what your spin of them are. But I just want to get into you and the art side of it a little bit more to start with. So can I just go from so what are the biggest challenges so far that you've faced as an artist in the NFT space?
Um, I think the hardest part about being an artist right now in the NFT space is that it's a lot like running your own business. And I do run my own business for, like, I guess you would say, my day job. And so I'm kind of used to having to like wear a lot of hats, and like I don't like the word entrepreneur anymore because a lot of people abuse it and have like this like these like fantasies about entrepreneurship, but entrepreneurship's really hard, and it's not as sexy as a lot of people think it is. I mean, you're literally like you're the business owner, you're the janitor, you're the worker, you're the night shift. I mean, you're everything. Like that's not sexy. A lot of people think it's like, oh, I'm an
Mhm.
entrepreneur. It's like if you're a real entrepreneur, then you're you're probably it's hard. And basically, if you're going to be an artist and you want, let's just say, if you want to be a successful NFT artist, then it's the same thing. You're an entrepreneur. You're running a business. Like your brand is your Twitter handle. I mean, literally, like that is your brand and that's your business. And it's hard. I mean, you can't just sit around and make art all day and sell. Like that won't work. You have to build a community. You have to engage with people. You have to engage with other artists. You have to be a good marketer. You have to be a good artist also. You have to be so many things. You have to wear a bunch of hats. And so I would say that's the hardest part that I've seen. And that's really where like I've been able to help some artists with Bankless. Like one of our programs that we're doing is we're doing NFT sales. And so what we do is we approach artists that are like up and coming and we say, hey, like we have a big audience, like a huge audience of people that would be interested in your art. We'll feature your art and we'll help you get some exposure. And in return, we'll split the sales.
Mhm.
And it's really been good for a lot of artists. Because like I said, it's hard to get that exposure. So
Yeah, for sure. And like before this, I run a small company too, so I'm in the same boat as you, and I know that I think a lot of the time, like you're saying, the word entrepreneur gets tarnished online because people just like I don't know, just claim to be an entrepreneur because they think that the title is impressive when really it's actually really hard work. And I can see how even myself, so now I still run that company, but only do like an hour a day, probably just retaining my current customers, and if it fizzles out, then it does because I spend all my time on crypto now. But even with that, so I create social media content and trade. Even with that, it's a lot of work that people don't understand. And I can see how it would be even more with art because I'm not really creating a physical product. I'm just repackaging information that I find and giving it out in smaller snippets that I is where I perceive my value. But for you not only have to do all of that, be friends with all the other artists and people in the community, but you also have to create the art, which I think is it's quite a tough ask, to be completely honest. And then on the back of the question that I just asked you about what are your biggest challenges online, do you face what do you find that as you have a lot of challenges in your personal life in regards to what you do? Like, do you have family and friends or who don't understand what you do specifically, and do you find that a challenge? Because I've definitely find that a bit of a challenge just talking about crypto in general. But I wanted to just dive into that a little bit.
yeah, so I mean my immediate family I think supports it. I mean, like I said, most of my even in my personal life, most people don't really know what I'm doing because again, I want to stay pseudo anonymous.
Mm-hmm.
I think it for my brand, but also just because some of the pieces that I'm doing, I don't want to be restricted, never be afraid to put something out because of like maybe somebody will find me or something. Like
Of
like
course.
I've put out pieces that say like fuck banks and stuff like that, and I don't want to be blacklisted one day from the banking system and stuff like that. So I would rather stay anonymous and continue to put out stuff like that. But I'd say the biggest challenge again goes back to the whole like entrepreneurship thing. So like right now I'm spending a lot of time, like you said, like you have another business and I do too, and I'm sure it took a while for you to say like, okay, I'm ready to like to go full time in crypto, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the hard part right now that I'm trying to decide because like I've made good money doing what I'm doing now. Like I could support myself, assuming that it continues to come
Yeah,
in,
that's
right?
it.
But the real question is will it continue to come
Yeah.
in? Like, are we in a fad? And I don't think we are, but maybe we are, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you never know. So it's like, are we just in this ridiculous bull run right now? And I mean, the world in general is kind of in a weird place. Like we're coming out of COVID, who I think everybody thought that like the world was going to end pre-COVID, right? And then it really, you know, besides the actual virus itself, the economy of the world seems to be doing okay for now, right? But it makes me, I don't know, I'm a little hesitant to just like jump in 100% into NFT space, which I want to do. Like I love doing this, and they say like, they say do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life, right?
Mhm.
And I honestly feel like that is this. Like I love to wake up and the first thing I do is like I want to like research NFTs and prices and all that stuff like that and get on crypto Twitter. With my other job, it's not that. Like I dread doing that stuff. I make good
Yeah.
money doing it and it's fulfilling, I guess, but it's not it's not my calling, I guess. So I think that's the hardest part. To answer your question is trying to find the spot where I can just jump off the cliff and open my parachute, you know. But right now I'm still worried I'm gonna hit the rocks. So
Yeah, and I completely can empathize with that, and I find that difficult with my personal life as well, family, friends. Like I live with my parents at the minute, and to be transparent, I've made a lot of money, but it's no guarantee. That's where the difficulty comes, and it's very similar to you. There's no guarantee of income every month. I don't go to work to get a paycheck. Yes, I have a tiny supplemental income or what salary I had from my previous company that I'm running, but it's nothing on what I've made in crypto. But then the crypto side of it is not guaranteed, and it's a very hard psychological battle to do something where yes, you're making a lot of money and potentially it could be long term, but there is no guarantee, as you say. And if you have bills to pay and things to do, it's a hard step to take. So I can completely understand that. Um,
yeah, I mean, I think I want to just piggyback off that too and just say like, but again, I want everybody to realize here that like you have an opportunity to literally run an online business and it doesn't have to be like what people think it is like e-commerce or drop shipping or all that bull crap. Like it can be you literally your brand online, you can monetize that in a million different ways, and like I'm monetizing it through NFTs and stuff like that, but there's other ways to do it. And right now we're in such a crazy time, and this comes from a person. I am a business owner. I've run multiple businesses. I've helped other entrepreneurs run and sell really good businesses too. And right now we're in a crazy time, and like I went and looked on my analytics, my Twitter analytics the other day, and I have had 90,000 organic impressions just this month alone, and that's nothing crazy. Like there's other people that, I mean, some of my friends have millions, but you know how much money businesses pay for that stuff? Like
mm,
it's just that is like an insane reach. If you can reach 90,000 people a month and you're good at doing what you're doing, you can totally live off probably that. Again, assuming you can continue it and continue to grow it. But
yeah.
businesses, that's the hardest part of running a business is finding customers and providing the service. So I mean, you can do it online nowadays. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, and I mean, I think this is going to be a good chat because I already enjoy where your mind is. I didn't think you'd be like this, and it's very refreshing to speak to someone like you. And I think that obviously has its swings and roundabouts as well because I've actually, for the last 4 months, I've averaged about 1.5 million insight, of my insights across all platforms. But again, then it's turning that into any kind of partnership because I try and do what I do to help people for free. Like I make money myself and like I don't actually monetize it anyway. And I actually want to get this out to my audience because I feel like they think that from TikTok, YouTube, I don't have massive on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, but I feel like they think that I make a hell of a lot of money from that, and I don't. I do that because I enjoy that, and I'm trying to provide content and value. And maybe one day down the line, I will make something from that, but I don't. So I think that's an important thing to talk about from us as influencers because there is both sides of it. Like you say, you could make a lot of money from that, but it's about like a balance between if I want to. I've had loads of partnership offers, but I don't want to pick someone who is not necessarily going to tarnish my image, but isn't going to complement it. And I think that that's a struggle for entrepreneurs in general. So people like us, I think that it's important that people understand that it's not just to click your fingers, but also that experiment of do you or don't you take a sponsorship deal is also a tough bridge to cross. And I'd like to know what you think about that. Actually, to be completely honest, what do you where do you see
Yeah,
yourself going forward?
I
What would you do in terms of that?
I agree 100%. I mean, I think so if you look at anything in the world, like value is a subjective thing. It really is. Like, not like when you look at anything, like literally you can show me anything in the world and try to make an argument for why it's valuable, and I can make an argument for like why it's
Yeah,
why it shouldn't be valuable.
sure.
But the whole reason that stuff is valuable is usually because of perceived value, right?
Hmm.
I mean, everything in the world is perceived value, including art and you as like a digital persona and stuff like that. And so I think, where does value come? Value comes from other people thinking that you're valuable, and
Mm.
so or the object is valuable. And so I think that artists and people like you, influencers, whatever you want to call them, people that are just trying to build a business, the thing you should focus on first is building a community. And
Hmm.
unfortunately, you have to pay it forward. Like you said, you do a lot of stuff for free. I do a lot of stuff for free. I actually give out a ton of my art for free, like art that I spend hours on. And it's with the intention of building a community. Like I'm trying to give back to the people that have been like the most engaging with me
Hmm.
and have like helped push me forward, and just who are like my biggest fans basically. Like,
Sure.
and what's great about that is that if you continue to just foster that community and you build that strong base around you, other people are going to come too. Because if you have 100 people who say, "Oh, I love this person," there's going to be other people that are like looking in on the outside and saying, "Oh, like,
Sure.
everybody loves that guy. Let me go see like what he's all about." And then they, kind of join in. And unfortunately, I think a lot of people, they try to skip that step, and I
Mm.
see it a lot in the NFT space. Like, you see artists who they're no name artists, they have no credentials whatsoever. Um, Nobody knows who they are. They've never sold any pieces, but then they put pieces up for sale for like 2 ETH, 3 ETH, which I think nowadays would be like, I mean, they're trying to sell stuff for like $8,000, $10,000, $20,000, and it's like, I mean, that's great in theory, but to me, it makes a lot more sense to just build the community first.
Sure.
Invest in the people that care about you and appreciate your art and appreciate you or whatever your mission is, and the money will come later. Like, the money always finds its way. If I always, I'm not a huge like spiritual person, but I do believe that the universe provides what you need and when you need it.
Hmm.
And if you look at every successful business that's been made in the world, they didn't start usually with the intention of making a lot of money. They
Yeah.
started with like an idea of like changing the world or doing X, Y, and Z. They didn't worry about the money. The money came next. And so
Yeah.
I think that's the goal, really, is to focus on the community, build the community first. I mean, I actually spend money to transfer my art to people. Like, to mint it, I have to
Sure.
pay $50 right now with gas, and then I have to pay like $30 to transfer it. So I'm actually like spending like $70,
Giving some,
$80.
giving someone for free.
Exactly. So it's like, but that's great because I have such a loyal, like, little group of people. And I don't have this big following on Twitter. I think I have like 870 followers right now. But I have a lot of engagement, like when I post stuff, I get a lot of engagement. I've got a lot of people that keep coming back. And I think that's the goal. Like, you shouldn't want to try to grow this massive community on the offset, because honestly, you won't know how to deal with it. Like, you will probably fail.
Mm.
If overnight success is actually really bad for most businesses. Most businesses grow themselves to death. And so really, I think the goal is to find like 15 or 20 people that really like your stuff, whatever it is. If it's art, if it's your podcast, whatever, that are just your biggest fans, and then just start from there. Just try to go find those 15 people first, and then once you find those 15, you'll continually find more and more, and you'll grow organically, and you'll get better.
Yeah, great. I think that's a great insight and like a good lesson to anyone who wants to get involved in any space, because that's one of the things that I want to take up. Like I have my own personal perspective of like where I think that this run's going to go, if I think it's going to correct. But like when it's, I think at some point we will have a bit of a drawdown, and whenever that is, I want to use that time to show people that like it doesn't matter whether you're in like NFTs, anything like that. As long as you do what you enjoy, that's the most important thing. And don't do it for the money or the following. Do it because you enjoy it, and that's when organic great things happen. But
Oh yeah, I almost want to say something too. Like, there's a lot of people right now joining into this like NFT gold rush, for instance. And the problem with that is that, like, everything's great when it's great, but when stuff gets bad and it gets hard, and inevitably everything does get hard, if you don't really like doing what you're doing, you're just going to quit. So there's really no point to start something that you don't like. I see a lot of people do that in my regular life. Like they think that a business is easy and they think they're going to make a lot of money, and then they go do it and they realize like, holy shit, this is really hard. And like, I really don't like this. And it's like, well, of course, now you're going to quit. So it's just a waste of time. It's like,
Yeah.
just focus on doing what you like to do and don't worry about the money. The money always comes.
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly that. And I'm glad you share that perspective. So we're going to go back to I want to just have a pick your brains a little bit about your personal art. And so where do you find motivation or inspiration for your NFTs that you create?
So I probably wouldn't have called myself an artist 6 months ago, to be honest. I I have a very like obsessive compulsive kind of personality. And so like when I do something, I usually like just obsess about it, and I learn everything I can about it, and I just go like way over the top, and my whole family knows that that's how I am, and my friends. And so just through life of the last 15 years, I've taken up photography and gotten like crazy into photography, and I got into graphic design and really went crazy with that, and then web design and just all sorts of these different pieces, and I never really knew like where they were going. um, but it kind of all led me up to where I am now, because now I use like all of those things that I've just obsessed about for 15 years in my art now. Like for instance, photography, you learn about cameras, composition, color theory, stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
which I use in my 3D art now. Um, graphic design, obviously, you use that for post processing and stuff like that.
Sure.
But really, what got me inspired was, and I don't know why, but I had never really been exposed to like 3D art before. I don't know why. Maybe I was just too busy like having fun in college or whatever, or just working on my other businesses. But when the NFT stuff came out, I was on crypto Twitter and my friends were like showing me some stuff, and I was looking at it. I'm looking at like these artists who are making these awesome pieces, and then I also couldn't help but notice like they're selling them for just like insane prices. And I remember looking at it and I was like, I could definitely make stuff like that. Like I'm gonna figure it out. And so I've kind of just been down that rabbit hole where I just I like to look at stuff and say, I can do that. I'm gonna figure it out. So
Mm.
that's really been my personality. Like I really don't ever look at anything and say I can't do it, unless it's like obviously something that you need like a ton of knowledge on. But most things, if you say, hey, can you do that? I'll be like, sure, I'll figure it out.
Yeah, exactly, and especially when you're motivated to do it as well. I'm pretty similar in that sort of way as well. Like when you're motivated to do something, I just get obsessed with it, and I just think about it all the time. I do it all the time until I get to a point where I'm satisfied with what I know about it. And I feel like that's what you're saying, and that's pretty awesome. Like, and as I said, like I've seen some of your art, and I'm gonna put some of the links into the description of this vid because like some of your stuff was like I was like whoa. So like I followed you on Twitter, and then I clicked on your Rarible page and I saw some of your bankless DAOs, they called, and I was like, whoa, this guy's on crack, man. This guy's sick. um, so just going back to some things, I think this would be helpful for my TikTok, especially because people are at this sort of stage. So what sort of tips would you give to newcomers coming into the NFT space? Where do you find NFTs? Where's the best place to be looking? Because I've got people who I know would like to buy some or just learn about it at least. And what would you say are the tools that they should be using?
Yeah, so I think the first thing to identify, just so everyone is on the same page, is look at the foundation, look at the like the inception of the internet. Back when it started in what, like the 90s, I guess. AOL was king, and maybe some of your listeners on TikTok don't remember AOL because they're probably too young, but there were a lot of these big behemoth companies that were kind of kings of the internet, like this the early internet. You had like AOL, and you had
Like
like
Yahoo
all
and
these other, yeah, like Yahoo and all these others. And now like they're not. I don't even know if AOL. I'm sure AOL still exists somehow, but it's not the king anymore. And so I think everyone should take that and apply that here to crypto and NFTs. Like I think crypto and NFTs are here to stay, but you know, it might not be Ethereum, or it
mm,
might not be Bitcoin. It might be something else that hasn't even been made yet. Same with NFTs. Like you have OpenSea and Rarible. Those are kind of two of your bigger players for your marketplaces. But those could change at any moment. I mean, you have sushi coming out with a new platform soon that could just totally disrupt the market. So don't get married to any platforms. But I would say if you were looking right now today, I would go look on OpenSea. OpenSea is kind of like the eBay of NFTs. And they're literally competing almost with eBay's revenue. It's actually insane. And then you've got Rarible. Rarible is a great place. If you're like really, if you're looking for like really unique one of one art that's fairly expensive, then you'd be looking on like Super Rare or Maker's Place or Foundation. There's a lot of different platforms, but I would say I would start on OpenSea and just start looking around. But just keep in mind that it is like eBay, so there's a lot of crap on there too. So
Sure. Okay. Thank you. And now, like, they're basically all my questions that I had in terms of for new people, and now I just kind of wanted to bounce some ideas from myself to you and see what you think about them in general. So I want to start with in regards to NFTs, obviously, and we talked earlier about how you think that like health records, that sort of thing, will go in terms of NFTs. And my personal view of where the crypto space will go is we'll have like our IDs on the blockchain, sort of something like Global ID, which like Greg Kidd's like obviously founder of, like something similar to that, and then tied to that you'll have your collection of NFTs, whether they're art or tickets to go and see something, or like you said, health records. I think that'll all be tied into your ID, which you might be able to access with your retina or your palm or something. But it'll be yours and it'll be you. And I think that in the future, everyone will be able to see that by maybe like just scanning someone on their mobile phone and be like, oh, that guy's got this collection, he's got this ticket, he's got access to this, he doesn't have access to this, and those sorts of things. But I had like a business idea recently. I didn't know if this was even possible. It's like, if you NFT'd yourself as a person and then your success, but also give someone like access to like whatever you do. So say you're an artist, okay? If you NFT'd yourself, and you said, okay, there's 12 or 15 or 30 or whatever amount you wanted, and then you said, and then if I release this collection, you'll get 5%, 10%, 20% of my royalties for the art that I've got, as long as you hold my NFT. I thought that might be a cool idea for where NFTs could go. Like, what is that a possibility? What do you think to an idea like that?
yeah, I think there's already people out there talking about stuff like that. I am building it already. I mean, I know in the music space, there's a lot of people that are doing that. I mean, there's a lot of big name artists that are making these platforms coming up here soon that are going to try to like disrupt the whole music industry. Because I mean, right now, the way the music industry works is you have all these different centralized music services that pretty much are kings, and the artist has really no say, and they get paid very little commissions or royalties, whatever you want to call it. And so, yeah, I think that your idea is definitely going to happen. How it works will probably be the hardest part, though, because obviously, if the whole world was running decentralized and running through like trustless systems like Ethereum and stuff like that, it'd be easy to like programmatically make it trustless, basically, right? But as long as we have artists and stuff getting paid by checks or by wire transfers on traditional banking systems and stuff like that, then there'll always have to be that trust factor. So I think it's definitely going to happen. How crazy it gets, like how realistic it gets, will probably depend on how fast the world adopts other cryptos like Ethereum,
Yeah, for sure. And like obviously we have I think it does need to take another step up, in my opinion, NFTs, because of like gas fees and those sorts of things. It's kind of like removes the market for people who haven't got any capital behind them, because they just can't afford to do anything or buy anything or anything like that. So I think there needs to be some kind of evolution in that space. Do you have any
Yeah.
take on that?
Oh yeah, I think it'll happen. I mean, I think a lot of people criticize like Ethereum and stuff like that because of the gas, and they call it, oh, like you've got some just crazy people that are just like so into some of these other chains, and that's fine. Like I think a multi-chain environment is a good thing, but I think they kind of missed the mark. Like Ethereum's gas fees are so high because there's so many people wanting to use the network at the same
Sure.
time, and those people are willing to pay the gas fees. I mean, I pay insane gas fees, but to participate, because right now you have to, like that's just the way it is. Like if you want to participate in what's going on Ethereum, and there's a massive amount of upside, by the way, then you got to pay these gas fees. And the gas fees are going to get better. I mean, this is a new technology. It's evolving. Again, if we go back and we look at the internet, and a lot of people were probably too young back then to know, remember the internet, but there was dial-up modems, right? Do you remember logging on to your parents' computer and it was like,
Yeah.
that shit was expensive too. Like that was not cheap. Like internet is pretty cheap nowadays. Like I mean, I think in the UK it's pretty damn cheap too, actually.
Yeah.
In the United States, it's a little bit more expensive, but it's a lot cheaper. And so I think the same thing's going to happen with these technologies. I mean, Ethereum itself, if we just talk about Ethereum's going to get cheaper. They're coming out with new technology. They're going to switch to proof of stake coming up soon. They're going to have L2 solutions, like layer 2 solutions, which I'm not too technical on that stuff, but all of these things eventually 20 years from now are going to make gas a lot cheaper. Sure. And a lot easier to swallow. So I wouldn't, my message to people would be, don't think that this is forever. It's not. It's just, if you want to be an early adopter, then unfortunately you got to deal with some of the glitches right now, and that's just what it is.
Yeah, some of the learning blocks. So what do you have any like outro messages? I kind of want to just have a little personal chat with you about a few things. I don't know whether we'll include that or not, but do you have anything that you want to leave to my audience? Where can we find you? What do you want to do? I will introduce you a little bit. I'll put some of your links in my bio, and I'll do a little intro on TikTok sort of thing. But is there anything you want to say? Where can we find your art? Those sorts of things I'd like to get from you personally.
Yeah, I would say just find me on Twitter. You can just follow me. It's just at the Crypto Bushi. I'm sure you'll put a link, but yeah, if you're not on Twitter, then get on Twitter. I mean, crypto Twitter that's where everything's happening right now. Twitter is probably, I mean, I don't use any other social media platforms because Twitter is just so crazy good right now. I mean, the organic reach on it is just amazing. Mm-hmm. And then I guess my only other message would be, you have an amazing time right now. Like literally there's so many people right now struggling for money, and they're struggling to find work, and they're struggling XYZ. There's such a huge opportunity with crypto and with all this stuff around crypto. And so if you're like super interested in working in the space, literally just dive in and just start engaging in the community, and you never know where it's going to take you. I mean, I didn't plan to be like in the spot that I'm at now 6 months ago. It just happened. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's going to be one of those moments that I'll look back one day and talk to my kids and be like, I can't really say how it happened, but it just did. And I think those are some of the best stories, and so right now, I just can't believe right now that there's people in the world who are not participating in what's going on. So if you're not participating, then start participating, because I mean, people are literally changing their lives right now, and it's really amazing. I mean, I think it's just amazing.
Yeah, and I can kind of hear the sentiment and the emotion in your voice, and it's a little bit mesmerizing, and like, how is this really happening? But guys, so as you can see on the screen, you'll be able to see Crypto Bushi. His name's right there on the screen, and that's basically his Twitter handle. I think there's an underscore in there as well, but I'll put the link in the description. But going along what you've just said, and I think that's probably the most important thing that we've touched on today, is that I have one-to-one Patreon members, like people in my Patreon, all those sorts of things. But like, I only charge them because I want them to understand that what my time is valuable. And I'm mostly the people who are there anyway have been there since day one, and I do one-to-one with them for free. But what I'm going to say is, some of them asked me some questions recently, and I think that the blanket answer is, if you're in this space now and you've got the knowledge enough to start learning about it, whatever you learn now is going to be 10 times worth in knowledge 10 times like down the road. Even if you're just asking questions to people on Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, and then you relay that information to someone else, or make your own social media profile, or even if you don't, if you're just learning in this space, it will stand you in good stead for where I think that the world's going to go in the future, and where it's already going now. Like, it's insane, the acceleration that we've had, and I think that's only going to continue.
Oh, I agree. I think one of the biggest things that I see really is that the traditional world is not in crypto, and they're not in NFTs right now. And like, they know about it. They've heard about it. A lot of these major brands have heard about it, but they haven't like jumped in yet. And they will jump in. They're like big companies and like traditional people. They're usually late to the party. And that's good, because it gives us early adopters the chance to like stock up and fill our bags, and then also fill our brains with knowledge and stuff like that. But it can be much more than just you selling your own NFTs or flipping NFTs. I mean, there's going to be situations in the future where these big companies are going to have to hire younger people like us to advise them on like, what the hell is this and how
Sure.
can we apply it to our business? That's another spot right there. I mean, there's going to be a huge new industry built, and it's being built right now, of workers that can work from home and make a good living, and just participate in actually like history. And
Sure.
so I can't imagine that there's people out there that are working just jobs they hate. They're just doing stuff that they don't want to do, and they're not participating right now because it's crazy. I mean, if you participate right now, there's so many different ways that you can just change your monetary situation
Mm.
for this year. I mean, I have so many friends that have just made some quick and easy money, and not through anything like risky either. I mean, if you're in the right place at the right time and you're an early adopter of certain things, you get airdrops, you get NFTs for free that are worth money. I mean, literally, like, you can get free money right now just by participating in the community. Like, it's nothing scammy. It's nothing that you have to risk anything. You're just risking your time,
Mm-hmm.
which, I feel like I've heard some people say this before. Like, you either have a lot of money and no time, or you have no money and a lot of time. And so if you don't have a lot of money right now, then you really should be participating in a lot of these communities because you probably have a lot of extra time.
Yeah, exactly that. And I think that I know the space can be quite scary, but if you get into a decent community or just ask a person you're going to get some people who aren't that receptive. But if you get into a receptive community, no one's going to like make you feel embarrassed for asking a question. If you want to ask a question, this is the time to learn. Like, we're so new to this, everyone's learning. Like, I'm sure Crypto Bushy knows loads of things that I don't know about crypto and NFTs, and I probably know a lot of stuff that he doesn't know. But like, what I'm trying to say is, and we're probably not market leaders, but not far from that in our fields. But I also want to admit that I don't know much at all in terms of the vast majority of crypto. So what I'm saying is, just don't be scared to ask anyone. I'm sure if you go and interact with Crypto Bushy on Twitter, he'll get back to you with answers to your questions. Go and have a look at his art, tell him what you think. Those sorts of things are really important because that's how communities grow, and that's how everybody learns together as well. And that's the space that we're in, and I think that's an important message to share.
Yeah, I love it. Do my own little like live stream in the DAO every morning. So I'm doing one at 10 o'clock here.
Okay.
And we just look at projects, and I have people that come on and they show me projects that they found, and we just kind of like look at stuff, and I just kind of give my opinion. 90% of the time I say it's stupid, but then 50% of the time I'm wrong. So
So how do I see your live streams and stuff, or is that just private?
yeah, it's only through the DAO. So you have to be a member of the DAO,
Okay,
which
okay.
anybody can join the bankless DAO, by the way. All you have to do is buy the tokens. You need 37,000 bank, so which I think right now it's kind of expensive right now. It's like probably $3,000 ish, but it's an asset, so you can always resell it too.
And what does it do? What does Bankless DAO do? What is a bank?
So bank is just the governance token of the DAO. So just think of it kind of like, I mean, I know the SEC wouldn't like this, so don't put me on the spot, but it's kind of like equity in the company. It's voting power, like shares, kind of. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Yeah, and then
Um,
you make money by just helping people sell NFTs. Is that?
yeah, and so the DAO has different facets. So the DAO is basically just a collective of people like me who have different stuff they want to work on. And so like I just do like one very small piece of the DAO. There's other people working on like really big projects. We have people working on DeFi protocols. Like, we just released a new protocol, or a new thing called Bed Index,
Yeah.
which is basically this like it's like this. I'm trying to think of the best way to say it. It's a Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then some other DeFi tokens in, and it auto like recalibrates itself like every day. And so basically, if you want exposure to Bitcoin and Ethereum, but you don't know like what entry price you should be buying into Bitcoin or Ethereum, vice versa,
Okay.
you basically just buy this index called Bed Index that we created. And it basically has an algorithm that changes every day, and it'll buy and sell Bitcoin and buy and sell Ethereum automatically. And for the biggest gains for the users.
Jeez.
And you basically have this bed token instead. So you don't own the Bitcoin, you don't own the Ethereum, you own part of the portfolio is how I kind of interpret it.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty mad. That's pretty sick.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So it's like, so, you know, like somebody like me, like I'm not really a trader. I actually sitting on stable coins right now, but um like I don't have time to like look at charts and all that shit every day. So
Sure.
if I were probably going to buy into Bitcoin or Ethereum again as like an investment, I probably would just buy into the bet index. I'll let those guys because they're a lot better than me and they'll recalibrate it
Yeah, yeah,
probably
fair.
way better than I could ever do it.
That makes it a great idea, to be fair. That makes it a
Yeah.
great idea.
Well, then they batch the transactions together too. And so like if you're selling Ethereum or selling Bitcoin, the fees go down substantially because we're all batched together in one transaction. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. It's a great idea. It's kind of similar to like what that VXV is doing.
Yeah,
They're
and so
implementing like that.
we have that. There's other people working on all sorts of other stuff. So basically, it's just like a digital company where nobody tells you what to do. Like you have no bosses. I mean, obviously you have hierarchy. Like there, naturally humans have to have some sort of hierarchy. It's just
Hmm.
the way it has to be. But um, basically, the way the DAO works is like if you have an idea and it doesn't cost the DAO any money, pretty much the answer is like, okay, go do it. If you have an idea and it's going to cost money to start it, you can actually make a proposal to the DAO, and the DAO will decide at that point if they want to fund it or not. And so, like for instance, you have your idea. If you actually had like a roadmap and you had like a plan, you could actually go to the DAO and say, "Hey, I need 50 grand to execute this idea." The DAO would vote at that point to give you the 50 grand or not. And a lot of proposals have been funded. So.
And then in terms of your personal paycheck, like how do you get paid? Who pays you? Like where do you make money?
So I get paid in Ethereum. I get paid a percentage of the NFT sales. So basically, every week we do these NFT sales, and I get paid a percentage of the gross revenue that's generated from that.
Hmm.
And so every week I just get basically a transfer to my
So,
wallet
so it's
in
not like
Ethereum.
an hourly wage. It's just like whatever you
Yeah,
bring on, you get paid for.
exactly. And that's just with that. But there are some projects, like I get paid in bank also by, like we have a tipping mechanism in the DAO
Hmm.
where people can tip other users' bank. And bank obviously has a value to it, so you can decide at that point if you want to take that bank and cash it out on Uniswap, or you can keep the bank. I mean, the bank token actually has been doing really well. If you look at it, it's actually been going up pretty good. So I'll probably just keep mine for now because you never know, it might turn into a lot of money.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's interesting, man. It's like, so you can get paid in bank, you can get paid in Ethereum. You can trade services. There's people that are trading services and stuff like that. So it's really the really great thing about a DAO that I think is really interesting is that it's basically a group of people that are only working on stuff that they want to work on. And so like we're creating these like new companies that like, cause like if you go into like any company,
hmm
most people that are doing the jobs in the company, they fucking hate it. You know what I mean? Like they hate it, but they do it because they have to pay their bills and shit. But in a DAO, like if you're working on a project, it's because you injected yourself into that position. Like you wanted to do it, and so you're doing it. You're not working on stuff you don't want to do, which is great. You know?
Yeah, that it like breeds innovation, doesn't it?
Exactly. So it's like basically you have this super organization of people that are all working on something that they want to work on. And so like I'm working on stuff that I like, which is NFTs, but we also have other people that are like super into DeFi and they're into like all that other crap that I'm not really like too well versed on. And they're like super into that. Like we have these different guilds in the DAO. We have like the design guilds. We have the translators guild, the education guilds, the developers guilds, and these guilds all have their weekly meetings and stuff. And like it's like a living, breathing organism. It's really interesting. Like if you go into the DAO at any moment on Discord, there's usually a bunch of meetings going on with people talking, and if you just jump in, it's so professional, dude. It's insane. Like these are all entrepreneurs, basically, in my opinion. Like the people that are all communicating with each other are all different walks of life. They're from all around the world. I mean, my partner who does the NFT sales with me, he lives in London.
Hmm.
I've never met him. you know, we met online and
That's
we just
insane.
started communicating. So it's
It's,
interesting, man.
it is, I've just joined your Discord. Yeah, it's insane. That looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool. And
Uh,
like you never know who you're talking to too. It's really interesting. Like, you'll be talking to people that have very high net worth. like very, very, very well off people that are like leaders in their communities, to all the way down to like younger people that are just getting started in their life and probably have no money, but they have a lot of time, like I was saying earlier. And so it's like you have this really interesting collaboration going on between like these very, very successful people and then these very, very like new and upcoming people. It's just super cool.
Yeah, I really like the idea of that. It sounds pretty cool, to be fair. I'm
Yeah,
definitely
and then
gonna check that Discord out.
we're back to then behind Bankless too. So I mean, Bankless podcast, you've obviously heard of them. I mean, so we're backed
I
behind
actually
them.
haven't.
And
What are they?
so the Bankless podcast, you retweeted one of their posts on your Twitter.
Oh, did
So
I?
Bankless, if you just type in Bankless
Let's have a look.
HQ on Twitter, that's their main Twitter. They have like 80,000 followers, but they're basically just a podcast. And if you've never heard of them, you need to go listen to them because they are like they interview some of the smartest people in the space. Like they've had Vitalik Buterin on a bunch of times. They just had Vitalik's dad on recently.
They just have Raul Pal on. He's my hero.
Exactly, dude. Like, and so David, what's David Hoffman, one of the hosts, like I've been able to get, he was on one of the last space, I think the one that you were on, he was on there very shortly, but it's like giving me a chance to like meet these people, and it just extends my network even further. So like the DAO is much more than just a way to make money. It's a way to network with people and push your narrative forward. Because I mean, think about it like that. So Raul is your hero, right? Well, David Hoffman knows him, obviously.
Yeah.
And so if for some reason you got into the DAO and you started rubbing shoulders with David and David liked you,
Yeah,
you never know where that could take you. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I actually was lucky enough to have him on my podcast, but yeah, like I know what you mean. I do speak to him on Twitter. To be fair, Raul, he was my hero. But like, yeah, I understand what you're saying. It's a great area. That's something that I've really missed in my personal life. It's just people to talk to about crypto and ideas and stuff like that. And like none of my friends want to talk to me about it, so I just find myself sharing my information with other people, but no one really bouncing their ideas back onto me from what I say. So I think that it'd be a great space for me to probably get involved in, to be honest.
yeah, and there's a lot of DAOs. I mean, you don't have to join Bankless, but you could. And I mean, what's great is literally there's no like application or anything. It's literally like, okay, do you have 37,000 bank? If you do, you're in the DAO. It's that simple. You go buy it. There's other DAOs out there, obviously, that are different, but there's so many out there. It's just, and dude, there's some that have a lot of money. I mean, I was talking with a DAO the other day, and they were telling me they have like $100 million in their treasury, and they just don't know what to do with it yet. Like they're trying to figure out like, what are we gonna do with this money? But they have $100 million just sitting around waiting for some good opportunity to come, and they're going to strike on it. And so it's like you have all these young kids who have all these great ideas, and maybe they have the ability to pull it off, but they have no money. And they're like, oh, well, I can't do it. It's like, well, you can. You just have to go find the freaking money. It's not that hard.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. It's just, but to be fair, like if you don't know the world exists, it's a hard world to find, isn't it? You know.
Oh yeah, you don't know what you don't know, and that's probably the toughest thing in life, right? But that's really what's made me like blow my mind, is because like I work with a lot of entrepreneurs in my day job, and I've seen the inner workings of a lot of different companies, and what's happening right now with DAOs is just amazing. I mean, we're probably gonna have some major DAOs in the future, and I don't know which ones they'll be, but it's just like it's gonna be really interesting, man.
Yeah, no, it makes sense, doesn't it? So yeah. So is that your monkey thing? They're pretty cool. Them bored apes. Is that yours?
Oh yeah, I bought that one.
So how does that work? How do they work with like? Cause did you have an original one?
No, so I bought that one. So basically, Bored Apes, very interesting project. So they're a blue chip, obviously. Like they are like one of the number ones besides CryptoPunks. But yeah, the original Bored Apes, the original 10,000. I think the floor on those right now is like 30 ETH or 40 ETH. It's just crazy. And so Bored Ape Yacht Club announced that they were going to do these mutants, but they purposely didn't share that they were going to allow a public mint. And so basically they said, oh, we're going to give 10,000 of these mutant apes to ape holders. Well, then last second, they literally like a secret drop. They said, hey, just kidding. We're actually going to release another 10,000 to public sale at a Dutch auction. And so it started at like, I think they sold out at like 2.9 ETH. And I wasn't able to get one, so I wasn't home. It was a Saturday, I was out. But I instantly jumped on OpenSea and bought one for double the price. I bought one for like 5.8. But it's one of those, I mean, Bored Apes are getting auctioned soon at Christie's, at Sotheby's. I mean, they're gonna continue to go up, I think. So
Yeah,
it's
I
like one
think
of
so.
those. It's like joining a DAO, dude. Like if you want to be in the club, you got to get into the club. And I don't know if I'll make money from my ape, whatever, but I'll probably meet people. I'll get value out of it somehow.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying. Like you are in the club now because you got one. So like no,
Exactly, and
like one day
that's
as well, people might look back and be like, "What? That's like they're like the original game changers." Do you know what I mean?
exactly. It might be the OGs. Like you look at like some of these major brands that are out. Like apes probably will be one of the OGs. Where yeah, I mean, there's like you look at it and you say, okay, there's 10,000 apes. There's 20,000 mutant apes. So there's 30,000 apes in total. But if you look at the amount of people in the world that have money, there are a shit ton of millionaires out there. I
Mm.
mean, hundreds of thousands of millionaires. And so it's like there's not enough of these like OG projects going around for these guys. And so like eventually the money is going to come in. It's going to be so like they're going to want in so bad that they're going to have to buy it from people like us, you know?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like when they actually discover what's going on, they're gonna be like, "Oh, okay, I want one of them originals or whatever," and then
Exactly. And then they're
that's
going to
where
have
the
to
money
pay me
goes.
for it because, I was there first. So it's
Yeah,
that's
you've got one.
that that's the whole I think that's what's happening right now with a lot of NFTs. Like I think the play is in my opinion is if you can play the small pumps, that's great. It's just like day trading, right? Or like scalping, whatever you want to call it. Um, that's great. You can make money doing that, but that's not really like a long-term feasible plan. Like a good strategy for me with NFTs is identify what you think is going to be valuable in the long term for various reasons, and then buy into those assets and try to hold them as long as you possibly can, and including through the ups and downs. I mean, right now the floor last night for the mutant apes was dipping below what I bought it for, which sucks, but it's like long term, I know that it's probably going to be much higher. So
Sure, it's
you
always
have
gonna
to be able to.
fluctuate as well.
Yeah, so I think that's the goal, and I think a lot of like big NFT collectors, they're not so much buying into these like smaller unknown projects. They're buying into projects that have clout that they think are going to have like long term clout.
Mm. So you're gonna release your own collection at some point.
No, not a generous collection. So I'm doing the DAO punks right now. And DAO punks really like we've seen DeFi Summer, right? You've obviously been a part of DeFi Summer because you were
Yeah.
into trading. We've also seen NFT Summer now, right? NFTs have just gone bonkers,
Hmm.
but we haven't seen like a DAO season yet. Like the world still doesn't really know about DAOs. I feel like a lot of people in crypto don't know about DAOs.
No,
So
I didn't know till today, really.
exactly. And so I think the next wave is going to be people aping into DAOs. I think people are going to start realizing like, holy shit, I can quit my job that I fucking hate and I can go work for this DAO at home in my underwear and make more money and do what I like to do.
Yeah.
And so I think we're going to see a huge thing like that. So I'm focusing all my art around DAOs. So like I have the DAO punks,
Hmm.
which is really just like making the archetypes of the DAO basically.
And the what I don't really get about that is like, okay, so you use the word DAO as like a plural, and you're talking about it as in your personal DAO that you're in, and she's a bankless DAO. Correct me if I'm wrong here. And then the art that you create is for your personal DAO. So what is like? I don't really get. Where do you sell that? Like who are they for? Like when you say they're for the DAO, what does that mean?
So let me just plug my headphones in real quick. One second.
Yeah, sure, I'll let you go in a second as well, bro. Sorry, I feel like I'm just picking your brains.
No, it's cool. I like talking about this stuff. Yeah, no. So the DAO punks, the way I foresee it, and there is some plans going on right now with the DAO punks, is to basically be like an all-encompassing type thing. So like not just bankless. I don't right now. It naturally is towards bankless because I'm in bankless DAO, but I'm talking with some other DAOs right now who like want me to make some DAO punks for them, and they have different uses for them. But basically, I want to try to build a community around the DAO punks that is basically like an educational, I guess, a way for people to educate themselves about DAOs. I would love to have like a bunch of DAOs represented in various ways, and so basically use it as a way to spread like DAO culture, and
Mm.
this whole like concept of like working this alternative kind of like lifestyle, you know
Yeah.
like not working for these big companies. You can work for a digital company basically. And so the DAO punks are going to basically try to encompass that over the years. But I have to create relationships first with different DAOs before I can start really like pushing it into other stuff, you know?
Yeah, so you basically like just the DAOs is basically like working for yourself, but with a group of people who are working towards a common goal.
Yeah, and you can work for other DAOs too. I mean, like there are some people in our DAO that they are members of other DAOs. So like you don't have to just work for one DAO. You can do something for one DAO. You can while you're doing something for the other DAO, and I mean, it doesn't have to be like, oh, you work for one like nowadays you work for one company usually, right? Like most people work for one company.
Yeah.
In the future, you can, I can take my NFT knowledge and bring it to other DAOs. I don't have to just do it with Bankless.
Yeah, because you got no contract or anything.
Exactly. So it's really interesting. So yeah, I think the end goal of my art, the DAO punks in general, is just to bring more awareness to DAOs, to help build a community within the DAOs, stuff like that.
So will you make me a DAO punk and I'll put it on thing. I'll pay you for it. I don't know how much you want for it, but it'd be cool if you could make me if you get the time. Presume you don't have much time, but I'd like to be involved if that's what you're trying to spread the word. And I like your art. So if you did
I
have time,
appreciate it. Yeah, man. Just keep an eye on my Twitter. We've got some plans with some stuff, so just keep an eye. There's gonna be some that are gonna come up for sale, so it'll be
sure.
cool.
Okay, let me know when they come for sale and I'll put some bids in there. Not that I have loads of spare cash, but I'll get involved. I'll definitely have a look and promote
Yeah,
it
it'll
for
be
you at the
cool.
very least.
And just definitely, yeah, start getting involved in some DAOs. Like there's some that you can become a member of for free, and stuff like that. I think you should start getting interested in that because I could see like there's not a lot of people talking about DAOs either. So if you really wanted to like differentiate yourself in some of your content, you could really like talk about some DAOs and stuff too, which
Yeah,
would
I
be
think I
interesting.
think I definitely will do some research into this now because it has really opened my mind. Like it kind of where I thought crypto could go, and it's kind of happening already, and I didn't really realize. If you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, look at like one really interesting one that's happening right now is called Nouns DAO. Like, noun, like
Yeah, I'm gonna try it down.
yeah, so
Nouns down.
it's called Nouns DAO, and
Yeah.
it's on Twitter. So basically, it's this DAO that's being formed right now, and the way you buy entry into it is they put an auction every day for a new. It's forever too, by the way. So they have an auction that runs every single day forever. It's all built on the blockchain of an NFT, and it changes. It's like generative, and basically it's an auction, and if you win the auction, you become a member of the DAO, and then all the money that is generated from the sale gets injected directly into the DAO's treasury. And
Hmm.
so the first one sold for like 619 ETH, I think. And then the rest have been selling for like 50, 60, 70 ETH each for the last couple weeks now. And the treasury is just massive. I mean, they have like hundreds of millions of dollars already in their treasury. And what's interesting is they have no like that nobody knows what they're going to do with it yet. Like they don't even know what they're going to do with it yet. It's just getting started. So I mean, you're going to have these future digital companies that are just going to have billions of dollars in their treasury, and they're just going to basically decide what they want to do with it, which is, I think, such a cool concept.
Yeah, that is insane actually to think about because it's just going to be a pool of money with a pool of people who've invested into that pool of money who then probably all obviously have some kind of background in either some kind of finance or something, and then one day they're just gonna be like, okay, let's just do this, and then they're gonna have shitload of money behind them and just do whatever they want.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look at Uniswap DAO. I think Uniswap DAO's treasury has billions of dollars. They don't know what to do with the money. They really don't. They're just trying to figure it out. So it's very interesting.
That's insane. All right, well, yeah, thank you for all your time, man. Thank you for everything that you've taught me on this lesson, and